What was the reaction of the legal sector in Hong Kong when this case first came to light in 2017?
This case happened in the context of a similar high-profile case of abduction to the mainland with a bunch of booksellers selling what were considered subversive books. There were also reports at around that time of a number of Hong Kong businessmen having been abducted back to Guangdong province to face judicial processes and the like. So when we saw what was happening to Xiao Jianhua, there were a lot of, oh no, not again. But at the same time, can we say that we were entirely surprised? We probably were not.
Xiao Jianhua was abducted 2 years before the proposed extradition law that brought millions of protesters to the streets, 3 years before the national security law, which has effectively broken down these treasured firewalls between the mainland and Hong Kong judicial systems. So how would you place it in the context of this wider process?
What we are seeing right now with the national security law and the breaking down of the firewall between mainland and Hong Kong legal systems, it's at the moment used more for dissidents and people they consider to be non-politically compliant. But having said that, once they've set this precedent with dissidents, and once they've dealt with dissidents in this way, they can very easily extend this to what they consider to be economic crimes committed by people who are in Hong Kong and try and use similar procedures to get people into the mainland. I think if anyone thought that somehow because they didn't touch politics, they were spared, I would have thought that that would have been a pretty naive way of thinking.
No one has heard from Xiao in over 5 years, and we still don't even know what the charges are against him, even though he's going on trial this week. So based on what you know about the Chinese legal system, how do you see this case playing out in the court?
We know that at the time when he was nabbed, there were a lot of rumors about how he and also a lot of other Chinese corporations were taking money out of mainland China and putting it overseas, and there were concerted mainland Chinese authorities' efforts to repatriate all of that back to China. So we know that they probably wouldn't have put Xiao on trial unless some sort of a deal had been agreed or coerced out of him. We can expect probably that he'll plead guilty. There'll be some sort of confession somewhere about all the things that he apparently did wrong, and then he'll be sentenced. And as we know with this particular case, a lot of the assets have already been taken by the Chinese authorities. And at around the same time or shortly before, they started gutting companies that have aggressively bought assets overseas. That should have been first early signs to us that maybe China was running a little bit short on foreign assets, and also the economic conditions might not have been quite as good as we thought they were, and that they were trying to get money back into China to prop up the Chinese economy. So that would probably be part of the deal as well.